Good morning. You know what time it is? It's coffee time. That's right. With Michael Sanchez. How's everyone doing today on this beautiful Thursday morning? About 71 degrees out there. I love it. It's nice. Had my coffee or two, three. That goes. Anyway, I'm excited today. Got an author there by the name of Gracie Lynn. Who's excited to be on the show. Chatted with her a couple of times, and she had some voice issues there, laryngitis, I think it was, or something like that. I don't know, but she's here today, and she will learn about her work. And let's give it a go. Hey, Gracie, you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm so thrilled.
Nice. You still sound like you got that little
It's
issue
a
there.
little bit gravelly, but at least I can talk. Last week I couldn't even talk, so it's
Gotcha.
going
What
to be
is
a
it?
little bit off. But it's as good as it's going to get for right now. So yeah, I don't know
Uh,
why. Normally I don't get sick, but
no,
um,
well, we're trying not to push it too hard. Now, is
okay.
it because of the pollen you think it's causing that?
I don't think so. I think I got I went to a conference in Alabama, writers conference, the Christian Indie Writers Conference. And there was a presenter there that was just getting over laryngitis, and for some reason I think I decided I was gonna take that from her and take it home and own it. And
Oh man.
I owned it for a full month. So
Oh
it
man.
wasn't really what I wanted to take back from the conference, but it's what I packed in my bag. So yeah,
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, I won't make any fun of you. You know that I'm not going to do
I know, I know. You're a very sweet man.
that. You take any tea with that or anything like that? Need some tea with honey or something?
Well, yeah, people tell me, and I've got a whole bunch of teas that I bought, but I don't like tea. I'm a coffee and water drinker. So tea
Ah,
takes me a lot to do it. One of my girlfriends told me I should do what I think what's called throat comfort or something. So I
right.
bought some of that tea, but I've been really bad about not drinking. I should have had some this morning, but I just didn't get up in time. So I'm still
Gotcha.
trying
Yeah.
to get over the exhaustion of fighting an infection.
Oh
So
wow. Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, my friend, my good friend, author Lorraine Carey. She's been having the same issue. She's a big time tea lover. I've been trying to get her to drink some coffee, but forget about it. She's not going to do that.
That's hilarious. I don't
Yeah, I'll
know.
bring her
But
in.
you're either a tea or
She'll
a
ask you
coffee
a
drinker,
question.
but you're not both, huh?
Now, is
You're
it
either
the
a
caffeine?
tea or a coffee drinker, but you can't be both because I know I'm not both.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you like the caffeinated or at rich,
I'm trying to get off of caffeine, to be quite honest with you, because I have a touch of ADHD, and the caffeine I think gives me a little bit more fog brain, so I'm trying.
for brain.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get off of the caffeine. So I'm gonna go to decaf because I like coffee in the morning. I like a
Gotcha.
strong cup of coffee in the morning, and then I don't. I just drink water the rest of the day.
Gotcha. My
But
friend
yeah,
Dale, one of the authors that usually in a panel, he's been trying to get me to cut back. He's like, high blood pressure, you got to cut it out. So
I know,
I don't
right?
know what
Yeah,
happened. I cut
it's
back a
hard
little.
to do though because, like, I'm also trying to get off of sugar. And man, I mean, I'm saying that I've quit smoking twice. So I got the nicotine out of my system, but now it's all these other like little things I'm trying to cut out, and it's hard. It's hard.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
You've been doing it for forever. I've been drinking coffee since I was like 7 or 8 years old. How am I going to stop that?
really.
Yeah.
I think I mostly started drinking after college. I think, yeah, I
Yeah.
think I started
I
drinking.
used to put coffee in my cereal. What's that tell you?
Oh my gosh. Oh, so
Oh,
you're really
Michael.
seriously a
Yeah.
coffee
Oh,
drinker.
Lord.
That's funny. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get to it. We're going to talk about, or you're going to talk about an answer to a prayer book you have there. Tell the audience a little bit about it without giving too much away, if you will.
Okay. Well, the two boys in the series, the two boys in this book is James and Bobby. James saw Bobby getting beaten by his dad in a dream, and decided he was going to step out of the dream and go help rescue Bobby. But rescuing a little boy and his mother, who was actually being beaten as well, from a violent man, is a delicate operation. So
Mm,
he had to like really tap into the his God, God into himself, and say, give me the right timing, because he knew if he told his mom what was happening, she would go over there with a baseball bat and lay
oh,
into that man, because she's very protective. But so he had to really lean into the lessons that he learned from the previous book, which is called From the Valley to the Palace, which is not to step ahead of God. Pray
sure.
about things, wait, and let God open the door. And the way God opened the door was through his mother, who noticed the reaction that the little boy had to spilled milk. And then once that door was opened, all kinds of doors were opened in that home. Secrets that the mother had held in her heart, just different things that had happened. It's just amazing how they took in this little boy and his mother into their home to protect them. And there was so much healing that happened as a result of that act of faith. So it was
Interesting.
really, there was healing all over mostly in the mother's heart, because she had held secrets of pain that she had had. And then it's an amazing kind of a mystery of secrets being revealed and
Got you. Now,
healing that has happened in the heart. And there's a lot of lessons about abuse in this book. About
yeah,
number one, and a lot of people will say, "Spare the rod, spoil the child," and use that to justify beating their kids. But the rod that was mentioned in the Bible is the same rod that in Psalms 23 says, "Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me." Now,
mm,
how can a rod be abusive and yet comfort? There is no justification for that kind of manipulation of God's word for a person's violence.
very interesting. Now, is this based off life experience or someone you know that you
No,
got?
no, no, no. This is completely fiction. The whole
Interesting.
series is about a little boy, 7 years old, that lost his father at birth. And one in four children in America live without a father in the home.
Yeah,
So this series started out. I wrote just a little short children's book in my first manuscript, which I trashed. But that that little story kept like percolating in my mind
mm,
until I decided that I'm going to just try to build a series out of it. And it became the most beautiful, I think, the most beautiful journey of discovery for this little boy.
interesting. Very
Yeah,
interesting.
so it was initially a little story within a story within my first manuscript. I completely trashed that manuscript. So I just felt that the story needed to be told. And then once I've had friends who have had ex-husbands who did not show up for their children. And my ex-husband was very good about showing up for our children. So that it's not from personal experience at all. This is from a lot of my friends have had fathers of their children that did not show up for visitation. And that is actually going to be the father that I feature in my next book. So the first father in this series was a father that was killed, and the second father was an abusive father, and the third father. In all these books show how human fathers can fail,
Yeah,
but the
yeah,
heavenly Father never does fail. He's always there
absolutely.
with love, grace, and mercy. So there's a dichotomy there where one father, being human, we all fail. But if we look to our Heavenly Father, we can become better with each prayer we pray and with each Bible verse we read.
Very interesting. Yeah, you know, having a law enforcement background, I have seen, lots of families, broken families like that, and their sons, are just really suffering, really struggling with the fact that parents are separated and all that, and it can be
Yeah,
really due to domestic violence or whatnot. And just growing up in the small city back in South Jersey, I've seen a lot of that too. So it can be tough. It can be tough for a young boy. So I understand exactly what you're talking about in this story. So
yeah,
that's good. Now, when
yeah.
did you realize you wanted to write the story?
What? I'm sorry, what'd you say?
When did you realize you wanted to write this story?
Gosh, I think last year I went through a tough time with my daughter. We were estranged for about 8 months. We were not talking, and I love my daughter dearly and love her my two grandchildren, and I was not allowed to see any of them.
Oh, wow.
So all I could do was just pray for the Lord to bless her and not try to pressure her because I knew she had some things to work through and to be very observant and kind to her. But in the meantime, I had to do something to make sure I didn't spiral down into depression. So that was when this kind of it all happened like simultaneously. I mean, I started the Christian fantasy series, and then the thing with her happened. I thought I have just got to dig into this series in order to make sure that I keep my head above water. So
Interesting.
now we're getting along just fine. So it was just a time period, and thank God that's over. But it was really nice that I had this to dig into, so that I didn't continually think about the dysfunction within that relationship.
Gotcha. I got author Lorraine Carey here. Hey, Lorraine, how you doing?
I'm here. Like I said, my voice isn't much better. It's allergies. But
Oh,
hi, Gracie.
hi there. How are
Your book,
you?
I'm good. Your book sounds like it would be healing for other people that are experiencing those similar issues.
Yeah, well, I think, the thing is, I mean, I've known several people that homeschool their children.
Right.
There are some that do a really good job with no violence at all, and they just have like this knack. And then there's others that I think violence is a part of the of their curriculum. And those poor children don't have anybody watching over them other than their parents. And I've heard that there's quite a bit of abuse in that subsect of population. So what I'm trying to do, and I think a lot of them think that I've even had friends that think that spanking, and sometimes spanking is necessary, but abuse is never necessary.
It is not. No, never.
And so that is what I bring to the table here is that do not use the word of God to justify your violence because God's heart is one of reconciliation and restoration and love. And it's not one where abuse would ever be warranted. So that I kind of wanted to flip that because I think a lot of people in the Christian, especially with all the things that are happening in politics and so on and so forth, I think some people may be misguided and may have not known the original intention of those biblical verses. And so I wanted to bring clarity to that so that the word of God is not misused.
Well,
Very
that's what a lot of people need to hear because there's been all kind of distractions and people now are, you watch on YouTube and they're rewriting the Bible. So there's a lot of
Yeah,
misinformation that's going around right now.
I know. And I mean, there's, I mean, all the things. I mean, I hate to say anything bad about Trump, but he's been a little bit off the mark, more than a little bit off the mark. And Pete Higgs said there's been more than a little bit off the mark too, because I mean, I do believe that Iran is a threat, but I
Yes,
believe we don't go in there. We deal with it in a diplomatic manner as much as we can, and we don't go in there threatening to annihilate the population
no, no,
right.
because those poor children bleed and hurt and cry just like ours do.
exactly.
And we need
So,
to make sure we go in with the wisdom and intelligence. And I don't know how much of his is just rhetoric. But I keep praying that he doesn't do what he says he's going to do,
I'm praying too, Gracie.
because I just think those poor people in Iran, they must be just in a state of fear. I pray for them, and I pray that the Lord gives Trump patience and wisdom and self control. Because I think that
Correct.
may be some things he needs to have a little bit more of.
So,
I
Gracie,
think
how
we
long did
all
it
could
take you
use
to
a
write this
little bit
book?
more of that, including me. I'm not pointing the finger at him without pointing three back at me. So,
Gracie, Gracie.
yeah,
So, how long did it take you to write this book?
I think about probably about 2 or 3 months.
Ah, wow, that was quick. How many pages we're talking about?
I think it's about 110, maybe. I'm not sure. I don't have the physical copies yet because I was sick
Right.
for a month. So about
So it's a short
110.
novella.
Usually it takes me about, my first book that I did was my book on the cat. I have a stray cat that I found that was pregnant. And I wrote a book on her in 2 months. And I thought, well, if I can do that about her, I can do it about everything that I write about. So I initially, now my sequel to The Shattered Vase is going to be a long book. So it will
Ah,
take more than 2 months. But the shorter books, 100 to 110, maybe even 150, I can get those done in 2 to 3 months.
gotcha.
That's
So, how many
quick.
books have you written altogether? How many
I've
books?
written 11. I've started publishing in 2018, but then pulled that book from the vanity press that I'd used and pulled and republished it, re-edited it, reformatted it, and released that in 2000, I think 22 or 23. And from that point on, I've done, like, for the last 2 years, I've done 4 books a year.
Interesting. Now, you prefer a novella or novel?
I prefer. Tell me what you mean by that.
Well, Lorraine, you explain.
The novella is it considered 30 words or less, and around 40 up is a full novel.
40,000, you mean?
Yeah, and up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, then I probably, because I think mine are usually about 28,000 to like 35,000. So I probably prefer the novella.
Mm-hmm.
And because, and then while the novel, it depends on what I go in. 'Cause let's see, my first book was a novel. The Shattered Vase was a novel. And I was told by a man at a writer's conference that I should never publish a book over 100 pages for the first book. He said, you'll never sell it. Well, I did
Really?
sell quite a bit of that, yeah. But I did sell quite a bit of that novel. But then I thought, in this one, because it's written mostly for young adults and like children that are like middle school age, I thought they're going to be scared about a big book. They're not going to
Uh,
read,
True. As a teacher, I can tell you that is true.
yeah. So thank you. So I thought, let's just break this down into little books and take on, one father image at a time.
there you go. So, what was your work schedule like, or your writing schedule when you
Oh
created this book?
wow. Yeah. I would get up, have my coffee, take care of my animals, and then usually sit down on my couch and start writing. Now it would depend upon what else I had going on that day. Like I got to the point where I wrote so much and was spending so much time on the computer using my laptop on my lap. I got what's called scorched skin, where the
What's
computer would actually be melting
Oh,
my
Oh,
fat.
wow.
And that was weird because like my weird legs were getting like really weird shaped. I'm like, what is going on here? So I looked it up, and actually I've had to stop using my laptop on my lap because I spend so much time on it, and
Wow.
I'll get scorched skin, and that can also cause cancer.
oh my.
So
Oh,
I have,
oh my
and
goodness.
now I work on my desk.
Lorraine, you hear that? Don't be messing
Yeah,
around with
I
that.
haven't heard of I haven't heard of that, but that's crazy. Yeah, I don't. I work in my kitchen at the bar, which is pretty much level. It's like a table, but for a
Yeah.
while I was just sitting on the couch. leisurely, and I was bending over on the coffee table, and I had to stop that because I was getting back problems.
I know. There's so many different things. Yeah. So I find that I have a really great. I actually have my desk in my bedroom because I have a large bedroom. So I just, I get up, have my coffee, take care of my animals, and come back in my bedroom and start working. So, but this year, I've really have focused on developing book trailers for Facebook ads and to try to do more organic sales. So I've been really focusing a lot on that as well. And I actually, one of the top film festivals in the country actually saw some of my book trailers on Facebook and asked me to submit my book trailers to their film festival.
Oh
Wow.
wow,
So yeah, so that was kind of cool.
that
So I
is
guess
very cool.
Yeah,
I guess I must think I might have something there.
you just
So,
might.
but
Yeah, you just might.
that was a lot of fun to do that. And I have one on Facebook that's about this book. That basically, because what I'd like to do in a book trailer is not only make it about my book, but also have a message in the book trailer, so that even if I don't sell a book, I'm putting good wisdom out there. And in this trailer, it's about an answer to prayer. And it said, godly discipline is meant to protect, not destroy.
There you go. So,
And that is what I
so
believe.
Gracie, I used to sometimes like to ask this question. What would you say is your most interesting writing quirk? Quirk.
Quirk. Oh man. I think my most interesting writing quirk is that I can go into other realms. Like in my book, The Shattered Vase, I went from heaven to hell to earth. And I can
Mm,
make them seem so realistic that you actually feel like you're there.
Wow.
sounds like my
So in
dream.
this realm, in this series, I go more in like the heavenly realm where there's an angel. So this series goes from heaven to earth and back to heaven again, and back and forth. But my first one, because it was spiritual warfare, I the shattered vase was one that where I went, into heaven with grace, mercy, joy, faith, and hope, and made them actually seem as if they were people when they were actually symbolically characteristics of God. But they presented themselves as actual people. So, but then I had 12 other entities of the demon world that were like despair, bitterness, envy, uh, what else? Bitterness. What? There's like 12. You have to read the book. There's 12 of them. But I had them be actual spirits, but I actually gave them, like, I described what I felt like they would look like.
Hmm.
So so that one of my girlfriends who is very very intelligent. She's read the book and she said, "You have a very complicated mind."
Yeah, yeah. I
You
think we
know,
all do. We all have
yeah.
a conflict.
So it's so I can do that and make it the thing that I can do is I can make you feel like you're in the moment. I
Interesting.
think with the way I go
So what
ahead.
does your family or friends think about your writing?
My family thinks I'm crazy. My friends think I'm famous.
Ah,
So yeah,
yeah.
my family thinks I've lost my cookies. They would much rather I worked at the grocery store bagging groceries to make a little bit of money.
Oh my.
Yeah, so, or go back into nursing, which I absolutely got to hate. I loved that job to begin with, and I got to hate it.
Oh.
Once I felt like I should be a writer, and I got a calling on my life to be a writer. That's all I wanted to do. So yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. But my family was worried that I'll be destitute in no time at all.
Oh no.
It's
Oh
funny.
man.
So they have no faith in me. But my friends on the other hand, think they consider me famous because I've won a lot of awards.
Well,
Oh,
that's
that's cool. Now that's
congratulations.
cool. Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
it worthwhile. That's for sure.
yeah, it definitely does. But even if you win a lot of awards, you still gotta be working the marketing angle.
Yep.
Oh, that's what I hate. I find that difficult.
Now, see, I used to find it difficult until AI came along, and then I started developing images and developing posts and getting on Facebook. And now I'm kind of obsessed with advertising. So
That
now I'm going to say, it's like one of my friends, Susan Neal out in Florida. She's the owner of the Christian Author Network, and she said, you got to wear different hats. One day you have to put your
Yep.
marketing hat on, then take it off, and then put your writing hat on.
Yep.
And that's so true. But to be honest with you, once AI came out, because I had paid quite a few different people and paid a lot of money to one company to advertise for me, and they didn't even know how to spell right.
oh my,
And
that's
I'm
not
like,
good.
well, they can't do it, and I paid them money. Why don't I just pull back, learn how to do it myself? And I was really scared of Canva, and I was really scared of doing the whole thing. But once you get it down,
Oh, I love Canva. Yes. That's
yeah,
awesome.
it can be
Yes.
such an absolutely, it can be an obsession because
Yes.
it was something I was scared of. It was something I was terrified of. Then like over Christmas, I got like 440,000 views on my Facebook author
Oh,
page.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Once you, yeah. If you have a creative mind, it is perfect. It's a perfect app.
Yeah. So, but the thing is that Facebook can eat up your budget really quickly and not give you a return on investment.
Very true.
So that's why I'm kind of pulling back at it. I want to put like maybe two or three evergreen, well, maybe three or four evergreen movie reels on book trailers on Facebook and just leave them and then just work. I think I'm going to try to work on Amazon ads and try to learn that system.
Yeah, I have done that a long time ago, Gracie. It was like, oh gosh, maybe 6 years ago. And I did see some return on that, but I need to learn that all over again. I forget how to do it.
Yeah, I know it's such an intricate
It
system.
is. It is.
And I really think, and the thing is, you put all this work into it, then you look and you've got like no sales, and like so it can be really disappointing. It's disappointing, especially for Facebook, because Facebook takes your money whether you get a click or not. I mean, they're going to take your money. Amazon is a little bit more, I think, a little bit more ethical in that they don't take your money unless you get some results.
Right.
Maybe not even sales so much, but at least a click. So they're more evidence based, I think. Facebook isn't, but I like Facebook, and I mean, I get like 61,000 views per month. So right now I'm doing pretty good, but it's not converting, and that's the thing I have to learn is what will be converting. The one thing, I think the one uh, reel that I had that really started to convert was when it was Christmas time and it was cold outside, and I put a reel up that said, "In the bitter and cold winter, you may need a heartwarming story." And then I put a picture of my book and said, "This story will warm your heart."
There you go.
And that was
There
just
you
very
go.
simple, but it met people where they were because they were cold, they may be lonely, they may needed a heartwarming story, and that pulled them into, because I met them where they were at. And
Right.
then I said, "Let me take you someplace better." And that's why I think that's why that reel just started getting a lot of sales because of the fact that it met people where they were at and then said, "Now let me take you someplace better."
Interesting.
So
So,
hopefully I can make more reels like that. Yeah, because that one
Gracie.
seems to convert.
So, Gracie, what was the most surprising thing you learned when you were creating your book or books?
My books.
Yes. What was the most surprising thing you learned when you were creating your books?
Um, number one, I pray a lot when I write, or at least I did when I did the Shattered Vase, and so I kind of like. It's kind of like I kind of like. I know it sounds weird, but I kind of like connect to God. And it's so interesting in how he will weave allegory and symbolism through my books that sometimes I don't even realize. Like in the first book that I ever wrote, the demonic forces were 12. And some reviewers pointed out to me that that would be exactly how the devil would do things because he's always a copycat. Jesus had 12 disciples. The devil's actually going to have 12 evil entities. And I didn't even realize that because I had never counted them. I didn't know. I just wrote as they came to my mind. So I think the thing is that I find, and even in this new series, I'm about to give you a little spoiler. The little boy's father was actually killed in a car wreck. And
Oh,
the reason why he was killed in a car wreck is because he saw a drunk driver coming for his car. And he positioned his car so he would take the impact, and his wife and his little newborn son in the back seat would be protected.
oh
Oh,
wow, wow.
And so that symbolically is what God has done for us through the sacrifice of Jesus. And
Interesting.
that to me was showing people that that is the heart of the Father, our Heavenly Father. And so that was
mm,
that just kind of, and the mother didn't even know that because she was in the car accident, but she was protected and the little boy was protected. They didn't even get a scratch. But the father had loved his wife and his baby so much that he basically gave up his life, which is what in the Christian faith is what happened with God. So that allegorical context, I hope the thing about allegory is you can write a message that's so strong and it's encased in so much mystery that a lot of people won't even realize it was there. So that's a little bit difficult. But one of the things I'd like to do is to write some study guides and bring
Gotcha.
this into the homeschool atmosphere because it is Christian and a lot of people in the homeschool curriculum are Christian, and see if I can get it picked up by homeschool people to study the the um the art of allegory.
All right. I got
And
Porcupine podcast. Did you have a question for our guest?
I came in and I was just trying to get the conversation. So, what's your topic?
the topic
Gotcha.
is yeah
Go ahead.
the
Go
top
ahead.
the topic is how to use how godly discipline is basically the clarification of godly discipline in the context of a fictional story.
Okay, that sounds like it's a well-needed story in the
Yeah,
same
I
time.
know. I think a lot of people have mistaken, and the more like I'm doing a deep study on Genesis,
Okay.
even that book, just the first book of the Bible,
Hmm.
there are so many different intricate levels to like symbolism and the love of God. When you really understand the Hebrew translation, understand the magnificence of God's love, you would never use that to abuse a child.
Well, there's there's a young lady called Carla Harvey, and she's on YouTube in the autopsy report. I had her on yesterday, and to your point, where we meet people where they are, morality and religion needs to get back in friendly together. Um, the churches, the mega churches, they're disintegrating slowly. Membership
Uh-huh.
is down across the country. That's probably why you hear a lot of fear mongering about the Muslims and this and that. But the morality within someone's soul and spirit, from a study, was that most people are really not walking away from the religious belief that they have, whether they're Muslim, Protestant. See, I pray and I walk the spirit of every religion in my heart. So I could walk into a Greek Orthodox synagogue, church, anything like that. So as more, and even on my topic, being a little hard on the fact that I think morality has overshadowed the spirit. And I was fortunate enough because I ran for public office last year, and I was just so frustrated with New York City politics. I walked into Trinity Church in New York, and they had the Archbishop of England on that particular day, and the message was so uplifting, like to think of the poor, think of everything, and that's trivial. And then obviously, I made a comment that the Pope, the current Pope, should just stick to the Bible and stay out of the politics, because
Yeah,
that's another thing
yeah.
that is driving a wedge amongst believers.
Well,
And
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. I think that politics is so mistaken the word of God.
well, the we are supposed to lead and operate within in God we trust, and that has been overshadowed. And then and then here you are, you have a perfect example. I mean, I don't look at Charlie Kirk as a martyr or anything like that, but he was speaking in a sense that he was using the Bible and his religious belief. But then if you and I got on a bunch of people because there's a couple of podcasters that have religious shows, and I hear, oh, God this, God that, but yet you won't like me because I'm black, or yet you feel this way. So with that
Mhm.
shooting of that young man, I don't know if it was gonna slow down that movement or whatever the case may be. And so that's what we're looking for. And the churches are suffering because our young folks have been indoctrinated where if you put in the airways, you don't know what a woman and a man is, it's going to be real hard to bring them back to the church. So we're trying to figure that out in New York. But well said. And then you mentioned another thing. You said meet them where they're at. And
Yeah,
you
yeah,
got people who are what they really need to do is go out to God's earth. You need to come out the house. It's what are we
yeah,
going, 7 years? Nobody's going out. A lot of the gospel and a lot of the preachers are online, especially the one on this platform. They
Mhm.
so if you got that out there and you got 61,000 people that felt that there was a need to hear that, then that
yeah,
only tells you that
yeah.
they're yearning for the righteousness and the cleansiness of life.
So, wow, that was interesting. So, Lala, what do you think about all that?
Well, like I said, I've got my own views, and I just think, I don't know. And my whole thing is, and I'm going to say this, I think the internet has ruined a lot of morality, has ruined
Yeah,
the home, the family unit as a whole. I think we need to get back to the basics. We need to get back to where we were back in the 60s and the 70s. This is where I'm coming from. I'm old school.
well, I think the internet can be like, for instance, AI. I mean, I use AI to edit. I use AI sometimes to expand my description, but I don't use AI to create the story
Oh, yeah, I don't either. No, no, no.
because number one, I can never create like I can.
True, true.
So, and it's not my voice. So,
Exactly. It's not organic, right?
yeah. So I think the main thing is that you have to know what place it has in your life.
Very true.
And there's a lot of things on the internet, like all the 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 dark web, like the child porn and stuff like that, is so evil.
Oh, yes.
But people hide behind that because they have an anonymity in the internet, and that is where the danger lies. Is that like, for instance, on my I had one guy a couple days ago that told me I should not be on Facebook because I was teaching and I was not supposed to teach men. I'm like, so I'm like, well, I blocked him immediately because I'm like, number one, you don't have to read what I write if you don't like what I'm teaching. But obviously, what I'm teaching has, because I go back to the original translation of Genesis and the way God intended men to be treating women is not what has been preached. So I leveled the ground on that, and obviously that wasn't what he wanted to hear. He wanted to hear that we should submit and do whatever.
Uh huh.
Well, that's not how God initially created us to be. Initially, he created us to be equal. And Eve was supposed to be a powerful ally. And when it says that he took the rib out of Adam, he didn't take the rib out of Adam. He took the whole side flank out of Adam, which was what covered Adam's heart and his lungs, the things that gave life to Adam. He took that to create Eve, which indicates to me that we're supposed to be a covering of our husband's heart and his very life and be so integral to his happiness that he can't basically live without us, and therefore that that then becomes the respect that he gives us because of how we
Gracie,
treat him, you know. And
Gracie,
the marriages I have known are wonderful. Not mine, but everybody else's, like my friends. Go
Gracie.
ahead.
So, do you hear from your readers much? What do they say about your work?
Well, I don't have enough reviews, so if anybody reads this book, please put out a review. They love it. They love it. I wrote this book for teenagers, basically, but most of my friends are senior citizens because I'm 63 years old, and they absolutely love the book. They
Aw.
say, wow, the way I write is very captivating. My book about the stray cat, one of my girlfriends said that she felt like she was just sitting across the table having a cup of coffee with me because it was very conversational. It was like, this is her life. This is, and so I think the thing that I have is an ability to write where it kind of feels like you're skipping through a meadow. And then you
That's
have to
good.
stop to smell a flower of wisdom. And then you have to go here, and then you see a little valley of tragedy, but then you call up the valley to the mountain of hope. So there's all these little like things that I do in my books that take you from one feeling into another. But most of all, I take you into hope.
Well,
Mhm.
that's where we want to go. That's where we want to be.
Yeah, because right now the world is so dark. The world is
True.
so dark. And so, at the end of each book, well, at the end of the first two books, I kind of had a cliffhanger that was kind of dark to pull the person into the next book. But at the end of this book, I have a cliffhanger that's full of hope because it's about Daisy, the angelic older sister. So Daisy was actually a character I fashioned, and this was one thing that has actually happened to me. I miscarried my first baby. And when I first started bleeding in that miscarriage, I called my mom and said, Mom, I'm bleeding. And I said, Is that normal? And she said, No, honey, you better call your doctor. And I remember breaking down in tears and saying, If God takes this baby, he can have her, but he had better have a place in heaven for her. And then so I miscarried my first baby. And then later on, I had a little, very short time later, I had my daughter. I gave birth to my daughter, and when my daughter was just a baby, just a few days old, I heard this giggle in the house. And I would go run to see my daughter, and she would be sleeping. And I didn't know why there was a guy. I heard it, and I did not. I had all my children naturally, so I did not have any kind of epidural or anything. I was fully cognitively aware during each one of my pregnancies. So I I then realized that the giggle was the sound of her older sister in
Yeah, I
heaven.
figured that. Yep.
And then 23 years later, I had a dream where she invited me into her room in heaven. It was full of chocolate. It was so cute. She had
Aw.
chocolate everywhere. And she sat down, and she was immensely beautiful and so like overflowing with joy. And she sat down on the little love seat in her little room up in heaven. She said, I am so excited today I can barely sit still. Today is the day I'm going to get my white wings.
Aw.
And that is what Daisy in the book was fashioned out of. She was fashioned she was fashioned from my first child, who I know is in heaven. And I say that as a gift of hope to those who have miscarried, and I say that as a gift of hope also to those who have made the tragic decision to have an abortion. I believe that all those children are taken up by God because
So Gracie, who published your book? Did you publish it
I
or
self published. I self published.
ah, okay. All right. You
Yeah.
did the editing as well?
Yeah, yeah. Yes. I use Pro Writing Aid and I also use AI for editing.
Nice. And the cover, did you do that yourself or somebody helped you
Yeah,
with it?
yeah. I designed it myself. Yeah,
That's
That's a nice
wonderful.
cover. Yeah, that's a nice cover.
yeah,
All right, you
yeah.
got a final question here for our guest?
What?
Lorraine, you have a final question here for our guest?
Yeah, I was going to ask Gracie, what platform or site do you think is the best for marketing?
Oh boy.
Mhm.
Okay, this is going to be really, really out of the norm. I think relationships.
Okay.
I don't think it has to. I know I love Facebook. I'm going to get into Amazon ads.
Hmm.
But I think networking, podcasting, letting people know who you are and letting them know your heart,
Right.
letting them know why you write, what your message is, what your whole desire. My whole desire is to transform pain into purpose and to heal the people who have broken hearts, to show them a better way so that they don't go into bitterness or unforgiveness. But they give that to God and they start healing their own heart. Because when you hold bitterness and unforgiveness, you replay the same scene over and over again in your mind that caused you that initial pain. And
That's
it just
so
gets
good.
deeper and deeper and deeper. And that is one of the things I'm going to really highlight in my next book is the act of forgiveness.
That's a big
Interesting.
one.
Yeah, because we don't realize. I mean, somebody said it should be all. I listened to something the other day that said it should be all about Jesus. I'm like, no, it's not all about Jesus. It's all about looking to Jesus to help us heal the wounds in our heart and helping us to become more whole as a person and more complete so that we can love others with a more complete love.
Interesting. So Gracie, if people wanted to find you, where can they find you?
Look at my website, gracielynn.com. That's Lynne. Make sure you put the E on that. And Gracie's GracielYNNE.com. And if you go to my website now, you'll get the first 33 pages of my initial book in this series, The Journey Begins, for free.
Oh,
Interesting. Do you have any groups people can follow?
My basically Gracie Lynn author page is my Facebook page. Yeah, I'm not in a, Bass for Authors is one of the pages I kind of propagate my ads to. So Bass for Authors. That's a really good group to follow on Facebook. International Impact Awards. I'm on that group. I'm also on a Christian Author Network. I'm in that group as well.
Interesting. Well, it's definitely been an interesting show. Yeah, interesting point of views, and your story sounds awesome. So,
Yeah.
hey, good job. I really like that. So, I want to thank you for coming in. It's been very interesting.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this opportunity. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much.
and
No
thank you,
problem.
Gracie.
You're
And,
Yeah,
welcome.
and Michael, thank you for having her on. Gracie, it's been very interesting. I'm going to check out your books.
Well,
Thank you for
thank
coming
you.
on the show.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. I hope that I hope I just my whole goal was not to write books for the church choir. My whole goal was to write books for people who don't even go to church and just minister to them where they're at.
gotcha. Gotcha. You know, a building, it doesn't mean a church has to be a building. It could be anywhere.
It, well, the thing
Right.
about the building in the church is when Jesus broke the veil at the temple, he did it so that we would not have to go to the synagogue. He did it so that he could come into our heart without any obstacles in the way.
Yep.
So yes,
All right.
we can all carry around Jesus without even having to go to church. You're right.
Thank you, Gracie. I appreciate it. I'm going to
Thank
send you this
you.
recording, and so you can share it with everybody else, family
Oh,
and friends.
great. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thanks again. I really
Bye,
appreciate it.
everyone. Thanks, Michael. Thanks,
Thank-
Gracie.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Wow, that was an interesting topic, interesting show. I want to thank Facts Porcupine Podcast for coming in and asking a great question. I want to thank my friend Lorraine Carey for coming in. It's always cool to have her here. And I want to thank, again, Gracie Lynn. Talk about her book and answer to prayer. Very interesting topic, very interesting point of view. Anyway, I want to thank everyone for coming in. It was a great show, and I've always enjoyed it. I had my coffee while I was listening to it. You know how it goes. Well, anyway, you guys have been great. Again, I want to thank Gracie Lynn again for an awesome interview. That was pretty cool. And you know what I say? Don't forget your coffee. Have a wonderful Thursday, and I'll talk to you later.